How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 4 in our series of Full Spectrum Real Estate. Once again, I'm Andrew Marshall with MHC Realty, and I'm joined here today by my two partners in crime.
I'm Rick Gillespie at Homebridge Financial.
And I'm Parker Morgan over at Fidelity National Title.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in today. Hope you guys are doing great. Today for you guys, we'd like to kind of go over different steps in our series here. Today we'll mainly be focusing on essentially how to save. The best part about this is, when you're saving for a house, depending upon what age category you're in and group, we feel like since all three of us are kind of in different age brackets, we'd be able to speak to, the difference as, somebody like Parker, for example, who is in his 20s. I myself am in my 30s. And then very wise Rick over here is in his 50s.
Wise man, the wisest man.
And so the best part about that is that you guys get to see perspective of somebody who's in their 20s, 30s, and 50s. And the greatest part about that is we can all shed different light on why it's so essential and important to save, for example, for somebody like Parker when you're very young like that, so that when you do get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on, you can not only have a better, retirement and planning for the retirement, but also put yourself in a very good position to essentially get into that house sooner, and not have to stress about the monthly payment as much, and have that nice cushion of some savings in the bank account, because who doesn't like that?
Right.
And so kind of what we want to do today is basically just talk about our different perspectives on that issue, and kind of help you guys and give you guys the tools essentially to be able to progress to that, goal of saving enough. And so, without further ado, we'll get into it here. And we might as well start off with the youngest in our group here, good old Parker.
So I get to quiz him. Okay.
The least experienced financial literacy test coming.
Hey, wait.
What do we got? What do you got?
What kind of degree do you have?
I 2 years of 4 in a finance degree.
Right.
So I decided accounting type classes were not my strong suit. So it's more been like my own personal research. Like I'm a YouTube kind of guy.
There you go.
Everything's online. It's really just deciding who has good and bad advice.
You come from a place of you've done some work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty curious to see what your perspective is.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
So my financial background was parents that had loads of credit card debt. They bought a new car every 3 months kind of thing. So it always felt like we never had money for what was really important. We always seemed to have the fake flashy stuff, but
kind of keeping up with the Joneses.
We were the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses.
You were
way
the
past
Joneses.
We were the Joneses.
Keep up with you.
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty much. So just a lot of financial stress around the household. So I finally decided, I was like, well, I don't want to be that person that just never has what we need. We're never actually solving our mental problems and whatever. So I started working at a country club. I was like, maybe I can learn something from being around wealthier, successful people.
That's definitely the place to meet them. So.
Yeah, it depends who you're talking to there. There's a lot of the Joneses there for sure. But
until you make it.
Basically, it started off with me. I was making $9.50 an hour plus tips. So I was running around like crazy, working people over. So I'd get my paycheck. I'd have nothing from $9.50 an hour, and I'd go to my bank account, and I'd put 10% in my savings account.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome, man. Especially, when you're just starting out. So.
Mm-hmm. And that basically, it was like I was looking up books to read. So like Richest Man in Babylon's a really good one to read.
Right.
If you don't know anything about finance, it kind of puts it away. That's easy to understand. So it was pay yourself first. And then I was making a sheesh load of tips. And I was like, okay, I have my paycheck coming in. I have tax-free dollars essentially in cash. Mm-hmm. So I was like, just sit on the cash. So I had a bunch of cash sitting in a Tupperware container, like a stripper at my house. And then I would live off that cash. And then I finally got tired of running around at the country club and said, okay, I want a real job. So I got my job at Fidelity. Okay. And it was like, okay, how can I multiply my money quicker? So I have all this money. So I sit down with my financial advisor. It's like, well, let's throw it in a Roth IRA a little bit.
Okay.
So that's what I started off with, investing. Yeah. And then it was like at work they had employee stock plans, 401ks, which is weird when you're investing at 20 because you're like, I'm not going to see this money for 40-something years.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like,
big head start.
it's like, how do I balance like the money I need to pay for stuff?
Sure.
Like in the now.
Like your monthly bills.
Versus a problem I'm going to have 40 years from now.
Now, you do realize that's probably the biggest hurdle with people your age is like, what? I don't need to take this money and put it in some investment that I'll never see because I'm going to either like die or right. There's all these different minds. Seriously. Like,
yeah.
And it was one of those things because I got a finance degree and right off the beginning, right, I started talking to people your age and it was super fun because I was only like 26.
Yeah.
So that was close. Nobody wanted to touch the idea of money 40, 50 years from now, right?
Yeah.
But you're willing to do it.
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. I like that. Good for you.
Yeah, it's good perspective, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as like my financial situation now, it's definitely like, okay, you've put all these things in place and you should feel really secure. But it's like you're not taking care of some of the problems you have in the moment. Like you're living uncomfortably on purpose, but it's like what degree of uncomfort do you have to have?
Interesting.
So I push yourself.
Yeah. So it's like what at my age, it's like how much stress do I need to have about this now that I have these things in place, and am I doing enough? Which I think I am personally, but
sure.
Yeah. What do you guys kind of think of that?
Well,
yeah.
So the takeaway is they teach you, like in the finance classes, because I wanted to be a financial planner. So I went through all those classes, and one of the biggest things they'll do is take somebody your age. So your income is not at its maximum yet.
No.
But because you're younger, you want to start that compound interest process, right? If you put the money, even if it's just a little bit, the hope and goal that everybody shoots for is $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right? Because the whole, like there's that whole scenario. I think it's enough out there that people understand if you invest $2,000 a year for like 7 years at your age, right? Yeah. And then you just stop. And someone after those 7 years starts to save $2,000 a year until retirement, they still won't catch you.
Which is insane. Interesting.
But that's the power of company. But the problem with it is that it's like so conceptually down the road that, people are like, no, I'm about today, man.
When it's the instant gratification too.
Absolutely. So. And it's funny because I was walking this out when I knew we were going to do this podcast, I thought about it. When I was younger in my teens, right, all I heard from people was like, oh, no one works hard anymore. Well, then as I got into my 20s, the concept was everybody called us the sitcom era, that we solve our problems in 30 minutes. Well, I don't know about you guys, but we're the YouTube Shorts era, right? Yeah. Everybody wants something fixed now, and they want it
in under 15 seconds or less.
Yeah, and you know what? Everybody thinks they're a rock star, and they're going to get paid millions of dollars. So the reality has shifted of delayed gratification. Yeah. It's even harder now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so, Parker, appreciate your perspective on your 20s. What does that look like? How have you forecasted your mental state of mind? I think you're in an awesome place right now, and you're probably one of the very few people that I've met. You're also very mature for your age, so I think that's pretty awesome that you kind of have that double-edged sword of, like, your mental state is on track. You got the maturity piece of it, so I think you're going to stay on that track and not get derailed, which is
Right.
freaking awesome. And I think
Well,
a lot of people.
Are you
like
married yet,
that.
Parker?
Absolutely not, man. I got a lot
Just
of time to
spitballing
figure that
this,
out.
So,
So then there's that perspective.
yeah, I
too.
will encourage you to.
I'm special, but I'm not that special. Just kidding.
Right, yeah. So I do have. It's interesting. I know it's a very small sample size, but I do have one friend that was very much built like you. Started early. He's in his 40s. Free and clear house, and retirement is set. He's in his 40s.
Yeah.
Now he's still working, but because of his early decisions, he didn't have to wait till 60.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to see some results a lot quicker than most, right? Then you got the other similar in his 40s, doesn't have a dime in retirement.
Yeah.
Now, both married, both have children, so it's not like it's purely a choice, right? So it's just interesting the stress level I see of the friend that doesn't have any of that and trying to reinvent the wheel and try and make this happen,
Yeah.
where the other one already had it built into him. So I think to encourage you, you're probably going to see a lot more results quicker than you probably realize.
Well, yeah, and which would you rather have? Would you rather have, perspective A, where you're stressed out, worried about money all the time, not enjoying life? Or would you rather have perspective B, where you have this, like, financial freedom, you have a house, you're not in debt? It's 10 times better.
Well,
So-
let me speak to it too. The one that took the time, like you, he's having fun in life. It's not like they're beans and rice and not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're still doing vacations. They're still doing, but you know what they do? They save for it first,
Yeah.
and then they plan for it. Like so when they go, it's not a burden on their finances. The other one can't find the time or the money to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, it's so oxymoronic on how it should be. Like the one that's not saving should be having the time of his life, right?
Well, what was funny is like growing up, it's like we were big on eating out, but it's like, man, I've never been to Disneyland or anything. It's like I would have rather saved for
Sure.
going to
Family
see Mickey Mouse,
trips,
man.
all that.
Like,
Hey, dude. Yeah. Chili Mac goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
Costs you like $3. Feeds your butt. Could you save a little bit and do two things? One, like you're doing, invest in yourself. And then, chase an idea that you're going to go to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, do a trip of some kind. So when
Yeah.
you go, it's so much more because you earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you've been saving for it for a while. But just to kind of shed some light as far as somebody in their 30s on this perspective, I would say that for me personally, kind of like Parker.
Oh, I get to quiz you again, too. Yeah. Did you receive in your college, because I know you have a degree,
Yeah,
anywhere in
what's your degree
life-
in, by the way?
Yeah, what is your degree in?
marketing.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So through your time getting your degree and let's say through your 20s, any exposure to any sort of how to save, like financial classes, not so much a financial advisor, but any education on how to save and do retirement, anything like that through your college career, anything, or even outside of college?
Yeah, so starting through high school, obviously you have those classes where they teach you certain things, and you kind of retain some of it, but you're
So
not
you
taking
did
it
you did
super
have
serious.
high
but-
school actually broached the topic of budgets and retirement. And
A couple of math teachers here and there
Okay,
would say certain
okay.
things.
that's rare, by the way.
Especially when we were problem solving certain things. But when you're in high school, you're taking life somewhat seriously, but you're mainly having
Right.
fun.
Right.
Just like when you get out of high school, you wish you could go back. A weird concept, but that's kind of how I felt.
Sure.
And then when I actually ended up going into college, they don't teach, to Rick's point, enough about all the different types of investing and saving and all that. And I think it should be taught in college. So I think that that's one piece that's lacking. But to answer your question, it was more of like family dynamics,
Okay.
as opposed to anything I learned education-wise.
Okay.
So, my mom, growing up, my mom was always a very, very big penny pincher, kind of the opposite of your parents, Parker. She,
Wow.
she initially inherited that from my grandparents.
Sure.
And because of that, she kind of instilled in me and my brother, hey, always worry about money, you got to be saving. It's never enough, essentially.
Right.
And so now I had that mentality in my 20s, which was kind of a blessing, because then instead of going out and spending a ton of money and buying all this lucrative stuff and trying to keep up with the Joneses, I would kind of do what Parker's doing. I would try and take pay my bills first and foremost.
Okay.
And anything I had left over, I would either save it or, start getting into investing. But it really wasn't until my 30s that I took investing pretty serious.
Okay.
And I have my brother to thank for that.
Oh,
So,
you do? Okay.
yeah, best advice I can give you guys out there is if you are looking to save and try and figure out this whole financial thing and how to get into a house quicker, not only reach out to us as the experts in the housing industry, but also get a mentor, somebody in the financial, industry that you trust, and just realize that if you do have that mentor piece, you're going to get there a lot quicker
Absolutely.
because they can help you with a lot of frustration and hurdles that you might overcome.
You've heard the phrase, you don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
So people have made
You can
mistakes.
try, but-
Yeah. So don't, like I've made some mistakes. You guys should glean from not only what you've learned that works, but go, oh, Rick shared that stumbling block. Avoid it.
Well, and there's
Right.
wisdom and power in that too,
Yeah.
because if I go, seek out guidance from somebody like Rick and Parker as well, then we can save time, money, frustration.
Sure.
Obviously, it's on you as the individual to either take that advice or not. But
the old execution, right?
yeah, highly suggest that you, there's wisdom in learning from your elders, and
Yep.
Rick's very wise and he's made the mistakes, so
Made a
you
lot
can
of 'em.
speak to it. So
So
Yep.
what's funny about that phrase, reinventing the wheel, like you should never reinvent the wheel. That always cracked me up because I have seen the world change even since I've been around,
Sure.
so quick. But
there's a lot going on.
so it's like coming up with new ideas and new things. But I finally realized one day I was like, well, business is always going to be business. Like on some taxes are always going to be taxes kind of thing. So
Yep,
from a
not going
business
anywhere.
standpoint, it's like be creative, but also remember there is a way to do things. And
Right.
yeah,
Well, and I think when we speak to that phrase, is it's like you can sit down with anybody, and income is just income. It's not something else. There's not a new category that creates money for you. It's income, and then there's expenses.
Yep.
And what you have left over is either positive or negative.
And hopefully it's
Right.
positive.
And you turn around and you go, that's it. There's not a new formula that you get to go reinvent that's going to change this dynamic of you either make money and then you spend your money. And where does it, like, how are you handling that? That's what I like. But I'm with you. Like, man, back when I was first investing, mutual funds were, they were a thing.
Mhm.
But man, it's so much more diverse now. So yes, it's got the wheel's shinier, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be very careful not to fall for the
new
really
stuff,
shiny
yeah.
one. Well, your money's gone, right?
Very
Yeah.
true.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. So it's your time to be quizzed.
Right.
So, you've obviously, guys, heard our take on it, Parker and I's take on it. So
Sure.
now, Rick, as far as, same question to you, would you say high school, college, kind of tell us when you
Right.
had that
So-
turning page?
Interestingly enough, all through, I attended two different high schools. One was a very small, kind of rural high school. No didn't touch on anything financial there.
Okay, so
Went
nothing
to a larger
financial related.
school, like a very big, wealthy, a lot of wealthy individuals in that school. Nothing. Broached the topic zero. Okay.
Which is crazy to
Now,
me, but
Right. Now, you're talking 1985, right? So there was a lot more onus on the individual to go learn. We didn't have like the internet and things of that nature, right? So there was this, go seek the help from a professional.
yeah.
So then I go into college and I dance around for a little while trying to figure out a degree, and I get a finance degree. Now because of the finance degree, I did have one professor. He basically made us live a life, and it was part of your grade. You had to find a rental. Like, you literally had to go to the newspaper. You guys don't know what that is, but it was this paper.
Never heard of her.
I think I've heard this before.
But you had to go and open the newspaper and find an apartment. You didn't officially go get it, but you had to see what the rent was. Then you had to put together a grocery bill. You had to pay your utility. Like, he
So mentally
literally,
compartmentalizing.
but you're
Wow.
still living in the dorm, but you're pretending to live outside of it. And then he brought in the piece of investing, right? And then we did the whole, hey, what if you buy individual stocks? What if you buy a mutual fund? And all, like, so when I left college, I knew exactly what I was getting into when it came time to go find an apartment, time to go find a career and do all these kind of things. So that piece was actually a very seamless, low stress.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that was because I had a finance degree. That was not happening for anybody else within the college realm, right? Like if I would have gone and got an engineering degree, that wouldn't have happened for me.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate that it was so narrow, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, so then off you go. And yeah, early on, like even to this day, like I'm still, those things that I learned from that professor still
Kind of
come into-
resonate.
Oh, it resonates. Like, and one of the things is like, I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase, but it's from an economics, no free lunch. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
So basically what the concept is, even though someone says, hey, I'm going to give this to you for free, somebody's paying for it, right?
Yeah.
So don't always think just because, life is simple or you get something for free, someone's paying for it. And so for me, I take it a step further and say, I'm the one paying for it. I'm not paying for it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so penny pin, like to the point of where I'm maybe too far on the other side where, you know what, dude, go buy another pair of socks. There's like 4 holes in your socks.
Well, and the funny concept is when you're living with your parents at home,
Right.
you don't understand that concept as much.
Right.
And then as soon as you're out on your own, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it gets expensive.
Yeah,
real
seriously.
fast.
This is
Yeah,
why. And it starts
right.
adding up quickly and,
Right.
and all that. So.
Well, and to speak to your point, Parker, is it's like the pay yourself first
Mhm.
should be the major takeaway, and it doesn't have to be a lot.
Mm-mm.
And I think compare. Oh, that's the other one too, is there's always opportunity costs.
Yeah.
My point to this is, I could run down and go get my Starbucks, which I love,
Me too. Yep.
right? And then do I say to myself, you know what? For this week, I'm going to just go ahead and bogart Starbucks
Save a little bit of money.
and just allow that money that would have gone to them and put it into an investment or a savings or do something, right?
Yeah.
And just, okay, I took a week and I paid myself. Now I'm back on the Starbucks train for another, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I do it again. Just find a way to pay yourself, but you have to give something up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's breaking certain habits
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
reinforcing new habits to get to the point
Right.
where you are able to save enough.
Well, and I will say too, like as you go through, because I was actually a stockbroker for about 3.5 years,
Nice.
and it was interesting as I had clients that were closer to my age now, because I was in my 30s when I was doing that,
Mhm.
and the clients that were closer to my age, there was no there was no coaching.
Yeah.
It was more you had to get their risk assessment.
Mhm.
And then you put them in the right investments for how they felt, and of course the amount that they had, and I mean, so it was more. It was a more kind of a fun dynamic, right? Like
Yeah.
you're kind of having fun with their money, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then you got into the younger round, and it was like they wanted me desperately to figure out a way to where they didn't have to give anything up and make them money.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was this disconnect of you need to figure out. I don't care. Like penny stocks was their favorite.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Basically, it was gambling.
Yeah.
Right,
100%.
And to try and get into them that no, it's a long haul,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? This is a marathon, not a sprint, and they did not want to give up, and even back then, right? They didn't want to give up the car, give up the clothes, give up the partying, give up
Because
the
everyone's used to that
trips.
lifestyle too, and
Right.
and if you have to give up that lifestyle, that's not easy for a lot of people. So
Well, and you don't have to. And that's what I tried to coach them. I'm like, so I had a scenario with this one gentleman. I was like, look, you take 45 days off of whatever you're doing spending wise, and we can flip this thing because you're making good money.
Mhm.
My whole point was, you can now basically be paying for stuff in cash. You still get to do the fun stuff. You still get to do your trips. But you just got to take a pause
Yep.
for about 45 days, and everything's going to be cash flow versus credit,
Yep.
right? And you're going to be paying yourself, not the bank or
Yeah.
a credit card. But to even ask for a 45-day pause
Yeah.
never happened.
Yeah.
So I just encourage people. It's like sometimes just bite the bullet, and you'll see that life can make a nice little shift, and then your stress level goes down. Your relationships will increase. Like you're gonna have
nothing but positive things will happen.
It does, but it's kind of like sometimes you got to do the work to earn the freedom, right?
Yeah.
So, And again, it's like, it's funny because I think a lot of people create, and I know this is an old person's phrasing, so I'm an old guy, is, mountain out a molehill kind of moment. Like, really, don't create something bigger than it really is.
Yeah,
Sit
or
down with
overthink it.
people who know, don't overthink it. And then what you're doing is you're building an excuse to never do. And that to me is just like, no, just, see the reality of it. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And what's funny is some people, when they sit down and they actually take that 45-day pause or maybe take that week off, they start to kind of enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
They see some mental freedom in that, and you should maybe get some momentum, right?
Yeah. And then it kind of changes your way of thinking. So,
Right.
Rick, appreciate you, kind of shedding some light from your perspective on all that. And so, we hope you guys, learned a lot today in this podcast. Kind of 3 different perspectives on not only how to save, but how to get into a better state of mind, how to mentally change those habits, and how to seek out guidance from 3 guys like ourselves who can, help you guys through that process. So if you guys do feel like you learned anything from today's podcast, we'd always appreciate it if you make sure to like and subscribe, and please leave your comments below for anything that we didn't cover today. We're always happy to get back to you with any questions that you guys have.
Yeah, there's so much, right?
Yeah, because we know that we didn't even we covered a lot, but I know
been here
there's
for
still
4
going to
hours.
be
Yeah, we
some things
scratched the
that-
surface. That's for sure.
Yeah, will come up. So, we're always happy to help. We're always here for you guys. So, once again, I'm Andrew Marshall with MHC Realty.
And I'm Rick Gillespie at Homebridge Financial.
And I am the Parker Morgan at Fidelity National Title.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.